City of Columbia Planning Commission meeting of December 7th, 2020. I'll call the meeting into session. Welcome to the Planning Commission members, staff, and guests. We ask for your patience during this virtual meeting. All staff members are behind the scenes with us today are Lucinda Statler, Rachel Bailey, Jonathan Chambers, and Andrew Livingood.
During the meeting, you will see live images or still images of Planning Commission members and the administrator. However, images of the applicant and the public will not be visible. The public will be able to participate in addition to watching on YouTube via three methods: email, phone, and then logging into the web session. And when participating, please provide your name for documentation purposes. To watch the meeting on city television, you can go to www.youtube.com/user/ColumbiaSC government. If you'd like to email and submit letters and statements, you can email to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov, leading up to and or during the meeting, as this account will be monitored during the meetings. Emails and letters sent during the meeting will be read into the record. Emails and letters received prior to the meeting have been forwarded to the commission. The public may also participate via phone. You may call 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 7637. And I guess we'll do a roll call. Mr. Cohn.
Here.
Ms. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
Ms. Hartz.
Here.
Ms. James.
Here.
Dr. Mandel.
Here.
Mr. Tupper.
Here.
And Mr. Frost.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
I'll give a brief meeting overview of the meeting format. Applicants with requests before the Planning Commission are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the Planning Commission or staff regarding the requests. Members of the general public are given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. The administrator has a timer and will make presenters aware of when their time has expired. The Planning Commission reserves the right to amend these procedures on a case-by-case basis. The Planning Commission uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. Examples of such items include approval of site plans, annexations, and street names. If a member of the Planning Commission or the general public wants to discuss an item on the consent agenda, that item is removed from the consent agenda and considered during the meeting. The Planning Commission then approves the remaining consent agenda items.
So tonight, the consent agenda consists of the following items. First is the approval of the November 2nd, 2020 minutes. Next, we have a comprehensive plan map amendment and a zoning map amendment for a pending annexation. It's 1/2 acre on the south side of Candy Lane. This is a request recommendation to assign land use classifications of urban edge, mixed residential, and transitional sensitive lands, and assign zoning of neighborhood commercial district within a flood protective area for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as mixed residential, high density, and zone neighborhood commercial by Richland County. Next, we have a site plan review. This is 7821 Garners Ferry Road. request site plan approval for the construction of an automobile service facility. The property is zoned commercial planned unit development. Next is a site plan approval for 32 acres at 200 block of Saskatoon Drive. Request site plan approval to construct 125 lot single family residential subdivision. The properties are zoned single family residential. And finally, we have a request for site plan approval to construct 139 lot residential subdivision, which is a 57.39 acre parcel at north and south of Jacobs Mill Pond Road, which is part of the Wood Creek Farms parcel A10B, the park, phases 6, 7, and 8. And that's the end of the consent agenda. Let me just click through these.
Thank you, Lucinda. Is there anyone from the Planning Commission that would like any item removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none. Is there anyone from the public that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda? When participating, please provide your name for the minutes. Please communicate by sending an email to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov. Please communicate via phone by pressing *2 to leave a voicemail or *3 to speak in person. We will pause to allow communication from the public. That phone number is 855-925-2801, and the meeting code is 7937. Is there any,
Mr. Frost?
Lucinda, or any calls on the line?
I haven't seen any emails come through.
And Mr. Frost, I do not have any callers on the line.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
when we speak for, or when we vote for the consent agenda, I need to be recused, being that I'm involved with item 2 on there.
Got it. Thank you, Mason.
Yes, sir.
So let the record show that Mason will recuse himself from the consent agenda vote. Do I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda subject to all conditions contained in the case summaries?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda subject to all conditions contained in the case summaries.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Sounds like the ayes have it. The motion is approved. We will use the following outline for regular agenda items. The administrator will introduce the case. The applicant will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. Planning Commission may ask questions. The public will be allowed to participate via email, voicemail, voice in person, or via the web. Planning Commission may ask additional questions of the applicant, and then action will be taken by Planning Commission.
So the first case on the regular agenda is a comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning map amendment for pending annexation. This is 103.07 acres on both sides of Circleview Road and 21.9 acres on the west side of Circleview Road. This is a request for recommendation to assign the land use classifications of urban edge mixed residential and transitional sensitive lands and assign zoning of general residential district with a portion within a flood protective area for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as mixed residential high density and zoned RU and RSHD by Richland County. And I know we've got some staff here. Andrew Livingood is here to answer any questions about the project. And I'm not sure if the applicant is here, but
Hi, yes, I'm Melanie Keller. I am the applicant and have been working with Andrew if there's any questions.
Thank you. Lucinda, are there any other slides to roll through before we ask if the planning commission has any questions?
sorry, yeah, let me click through these. Here is the property. And also, I just got a note just for the public, the meeting code is 7637 as opposed to 7937. So just in case anybody is calling in, please make note of that change also.
Are there any questions from the planning commission? Hearing none, I think we'll move to any public comment. So again, for public comment, we encourage those who would like to comment via email or the web to begin sending in letters and emails. Send emails to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov or on the web at https://publicinput.com/cocpc-december. For those wanting to leave a voicemail or speak live, call 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 7637. Then press *2 to leave a voicemail or *3 to speak live. Please be sure your computer audio is off to avoid feedback. We will now hear comments that have been received in writing. We'll give that a little minute just to see if anybody's emailing any public comment in.
I'm not seeing any emails come through.
Okay. Maybe give that just a minute.
And likewise,
Andrew, sorry.
I do not have, I do have a caller on the line, but they have not indicated they wish to speak.
So hearing no comments via writing or no voicemails, have we received any new correspondence or are there any new callers in the queue?
No, sir.
Still no emails.
No more emails, okay. Any follow-up questions from Planning Commission? Any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning map amendment for pending annexation at Circleview Road.
Got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any, please say no. The ayes have it, the motion is approved.
Okay, the next case is, this is also a comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning map amendment for a pending annexation. There's a bunch of addresses here, so just bear with me. 1 East Broadway Street, 11 Post Street, 15 East Broadway Street, 12 East Broadway Street, 16 Post Street, 10 Post Street, 108 South Evans Street, 109 South Evans Street, 202 South Evans Street, 204 South Evans Street, 205 Sumter Street, 214 South Evans Street, 216 South Evans Street, and 130 South Assembly Street. The request is for recommendation to assign the land use classifications of Community Activity Corridor, Urban Core Neighborhood Activity Center, and Urban Core Mixed Residential Type 3, and assign zoning of Light Industrial District with a portion within a flood protective area, and Neighborhood Commercial District with a portion within a flood protective area for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as mixed residential high density and zoned light industrial by Richland County. And I believe the applicant is here as well to answer any questions, and we've also got Andrew as well. And here's the properties and the future land use.
Are there any questions from Planning Commission or any questions of the applicant? No questions from Planning Commission, so we'll move over to public comment. Again, during the public comment period, we encourage those who would like to comment via email or the web to begin sending in letters and emails. Again, that email address is cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov or on the web at publicinput.com/cocpc-December. For those wanting to leave a voicemail or speak live, please call 855-925-2801. And when prompted, please enter the meeting code 7637. Then press *2 to leave a voicemail or press *3 to speak live. Be sure your computer audio is off to avoid any feedback. We will pause for a brief minute to see if we have any emails come in or any callers on the line.
Is the applicant here to speak on this?
I believe so. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. I guess they're not here. I thought they were coming, but I don't see any emails.
This is Andrew Livingood. I could probably answer questions. I've been working with them if you have any particular questions.
Okay, I just was interested in hearing from the applicant.
Well, for some brief background, the USC facilities maintenance is currently on Green Street in a building that will be displaced by the new Green Street Bridge over the railroad track, and they are relocating a portion of the facilities at that site to a portion of this site. Now, there's a number of properties here, but they will only be occupying, I believe it's the larger parcel for this particular project.
I appreciate that. I'm fine. I was curious, but I don't have any specific questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Dr. Mandel. Do we have any emails, Lucinda?
I've not seen any emails come through.
Okay. Any calls on the line, Andrew?
There are no callers actually on the line at this time.
Okay. Any follow-up questions from the Planning Commission? If there's no additional questions, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning map amendment for pending annexation at 1 East Broadway Street, 11 Post Street, 15 East Broadway Street, 12 East Broadway Street, 16 Post Street, 10 Post Street, 108 South Evans Street, 109 South Evans Street, 202 South Evans Street, 204 South Evans Street, 205 Sumter Street, 214 South Evans Street, 216 South Evans Street, and 130 South Assembly Street.
Thank you. I got a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. The motion's approved.
Okay. The next case on the agenda is a zoning map amendment. This is a request to rezone parcels from general residential to general residential district and neighborhood commercial district to office and institutional district. This is at 2010 Oak Street and 2027, 2023, 2015, 2007, 2305, and 2014 Henry Street.
Mr. Chair, this is Anna Davis. I need to recuse myself from this vote. And my pastor was supposed to be on the call, but I don't see him represented yet. He may be joining, but Rachel, if I could ask if any questions come up, could you try to help us out with those?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. I'll be back. Oh, Pastor's on the phone. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Let the record show that Anna will recuse herself from this case. So the applicant is here. Do we have any questions from Planning Commission?
I will have some questions, but I'd be very interested to hear from the applicant. I guess as an overall thought, reading the department's comments and the overarching comment that the city of Columbia does not normally support, this kind of zoning change. I would very much be interested in the justification for it and why this is different than the overall philosophical stance that this isn't a good idea. So I'll be interested to hear what the applicant has to say.
Okay. If the applicant's present and would like to give a brief presentation, that'd be great.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Johnny Ray Noble. I am the pastor of Second Nazareth Baptist Church, and we've acquired these particular parcels over time to try to better the community. There were some rundown houses there, houses that were being used by the homeless and people that were frequenting the neighborhood, just living in these homes. And so we desire to purchase them for future expansion of the church. That's a secondary thing, but to get rid of the blighted properties in the area and maybe have some future development. We are developing all around the particular area. Across the street from this particular property, we have a 58-unit apartment building, which is a tax credit property of city and the housing authority and other partnerships were forged to bring an affordable housing complex there. And so this property that's across the street that's highlighted would be for future projects that the church would do to uplift the community. And we're thinking and exploring about putting other affordable housing there. Currently, we've cleared the lots of all of the dilapidated housing and any other things that would be an eyesore. And we've basically planted grass. And so right now it's a very grassy field. And we're asking for this zoning so that and the church actually controls everything in that area too, that you see there basically. And so we're asking for this particular zoning so that we can develop here in the future and continue the development of the Edgewood community.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant from Planning Commission?
I have a question for staff. I just want to clarify, under the current zoning regulations, can the church place residential low-income housing?
Yes. So housing could, I mean, the RG2, the RG1, it's special exception in C2, but the majority of the residential uses are permitted in that. But expansion of the church, so those institutional uses, some require special exception, and parking and other related things that go along with those uses would not be permitted in the residential district.
So if the church wanted to use this long-term as parking, this change in zoning would allow for that.
Yes, parking is permitted in C1 outright.
Right. So if we change the zoning, it allows for that being a long-term solution for the church, but it doesn't really support the building necessarily of low-income residential property, I guess.
All residential uses are permitted in C1. So at the same lot area and density as in the RG districts.
Yes. I guess I'm just, I hope that they do turn it into residential, and I guess that's the concern. The idea that it would be utilized long-term as a parking lot in that space doesn't seem like it's going to necessarily uplift the neighborhood. So
probably echo the similar concerns, just not having a plan showing what the intent actually is.
If I may interject, this is Pastor Noble again. If I may interject, what the church is gonna, I guess I should say, the church is always gonna, we've been in this community over 100 years. We have a history of doing what's best for this particular community. And we have purchased several properties. At one time, we had purchased a liquor store, converted it into a Boy Scout hut, and then eventually it became a part of our campus because we built a new sanctuary. So Second Nazareth is not your typical church. We're a community church. We're not going anywhere. Many of our members have grown up in this community, and we have a special affinity for this community. We also own property down the street where we run youth programs. And then we've done this project that you see in red over there, that was 3.18 acres that the church could have done anything we wanted to do with it, but we chose to bring in 58 units of low income housing. I don't see how we would change our mission. The library is right across the street. I'm the former chair of the library board. We took a dilapidated building, basically, poured into it once the Dollar General left, and we brought a library into that community. Not to mention the property that you see that we're talking about. Those those were houses that, again, were not owned by the church, but the church felt the need to buy them, much to the appreciation of the residents that are there. I don't see the church changing its mission. I don't know if that's gonna make a difference, but we won't change our mission. And what we want to do is be able to be flexible enough to be able to do the things that we need to do. When we say parking, we're not talking about a concrete jungle, because we realize that we do need green spaces. So instead of building a parking lot, we decided to leave it a green space, because we need more green spaces in that community where people can walk, where there can be events held there if we need to hold something outside. Just this past Saturday, we actually had a market there where we sold collard greens and cabbages to the community, because we're in a food desert. So whatever use that the church has, it will be something that will benefit the community, because it's going to benefit the church, but it's going to continue to uplift the community. We have a history of doing it, and I don't see us changing that.
Thank you, Mr. Noble. This is Rachel. I just wanted to, in reference to Mr. Cohn's previous comment as well, I just want to remind everyone that rezonings are not project specific. So we definitely appreciate hearing from you, Mr. Noble, about the church's intent, but that's not what staff was looking at when we made our recommendation. Site plans and plans in general are not required for a rezoning, even though I know the project often is discussed. But staff, in our recommendation of approval, we looked at this as this is an isolated block. It's not in a neighborhood centric area. The property across Elmwood was rezoned to C2 in early 2018 from a residential zoning district for the senior housing and the multifamily. So that's what we were looking at, is just there's an institutional base there with the church, as well as the properties owned by Columbia Housing Authority. So that is how we differentiated this from others where staff often recommends denial for rezoning out of a residential zoning district. So I just wanted to kind of explain our thought process as well in making our recommendation.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just was curious. And yeah, thanks for speaking to that, Rachel.
Of course.
And I appreciate the explanation as well. I guess I just struggle with the, we philosophically believe X, but in this particular situation, we're going to do something different. And I don't see zoning as being inflexible, but I also historically believe that the city of Columbia has philosophically done one thing sometimes, and then when it comes down to individual circumstances, does something else. So the reasoning makes sense to me when you explain it. I just struggle with we usually do this, but in this situation, we're doing something different. And
Sure.
so, we just went through the comprehensive plan, and it's based on a belief about how we want to have the city look. And is this congruent with that? I mean, is it?
And I mean, we had some back and forth on it as well. So, and I think just because this block is surrounded by the parcels that it is, we did make a decision that it met the future land use for that area. So, and what we had laid out for that area.
So you believe it meets the future land use you believe it meets the criteria for the future land use. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and that's what staff bases our recommendations on, as we look at that future land use, primary, secondary, and tertiary uses in making our recommendation.
All right, well, I would be satisfied with that if y'all can justify that you believe that this falls under sort of the philosophical belief that the comprehensive plan has been developed under. Like I said, I struggle with, this is what our overarching goal is, and this is the exception. So if you believe this falls underneath kind of the idea for what the future of the city and the higher goals that are set out, then I would understand this justification. So
yes, and kind of those civic institutional uses, they do come in as tertiary under the UCR1. So that is kind of what we based our recommendation on as we looked at those uses. And I mean, there was definitely back and forth. So I mean, we definitely had the same debate. So I definitely, I hear where you're coming from, Dr. Mandel, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hear it again. This is a big concern for me, and having, I think, Mr. Frost noted earlier, old timers, I've been on planning commission. This is my second time, and I just really struggled with, we have high ideals for what the city wants. And then when individual people come in and ask for it, it seems like there's a justification for it that isn't congruent with the high ideals. And I very much believe that there should be flexibility, but I also believe that, we worked really hard on setting out some very high ideals in the comprehensive plan, and I would like to be congruent with those. But again, if staff has come to the agreement that this is congruent with those high ideals, then I will support it.
So, and we did. So after, the UCR1, so when we get into those secondary and tertiary uses, we do put a lot of thought into it before we make our recommendation. So, and that's why we put that explanation in the case summary as well, because we knew this one was there was gonna be back and forth. So that's why we wanted to put in there that we did differentiate this one based on a certain thought process. But it was all based around that, what goes into that UCR1.
Understood.
Thank you. Are there any other follow-up questions from Planning Commission? Any additional questions of the applicant at this time? Hearing none, we'll move into the public comment. Again, for public comment, we encourage those who would like to comment via email or the web to begin sending in letters and emails. Emails should be sent to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov or via the web at publicinput.com/cocpc-December. For those wanting to leave a voicemail or speak live, call 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 7637, then press *2 to leave a voicemail or press *3 to speak live. Again, please be sure your computer audio is off to avoid any feedback. We'll pause briefly to allow time for any emails or phone calls to be received. Lucinda, have we received any email correspondence? Sorry, Lucinda, you are on mute.
Apologies, I have not received any emails at this point.
Okay. Andrew, any callers on the line?
I have no callers and I do not have any comments that have been logged in.
Okay. Well, if there's no further questions from the Planning Commission, I will accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the request to rezone parcels from General Residential District RG1, General Residential District RG2, and Neighborhood Commercial District C2 to Office and Institutional District C1 at 2030, 2006, and 10,010 Oak Street, and 2027, 2023, 2015, 2007, 2305, and 2014 Henry Street.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. The motion is approved.
All right, that's gonna, this is Jonathan Chambers, the Land Development Administrator. That's gonna take us to the site plan review titled The Loss at Lincoln, at the Loss on Lincoln, which is located at 919 Catawba Street, 1312 Lincoln Street, and 1320 through 326 Lincoln Street. And this property is located on the northeast corner of Lincoln Street and Catawba Street. It's approximately 4 acres, and the applicant is proposing to develop a 279 unit multi-family residential development. There are 1-bedroom units, 2-bedroom units, and 3-bedroom units. The project entails a parking garage with about 546 parking spaces. And there's also some surface parking along the drive aisle, which is about 8 spaces, which gives the total development 554 spaces, which meets the requirement. There are several right-of-way improvements that will be added to include sidewalks, parking, and landscaping along both Catawba and Lincoln Streets. And there's also a shared bicycle path that'll be provided along Catawba Street as well. The applicant has submitted a traffic impact study, which was attached to the agenda in a separate document. And there were requirements that the city asked be implemented, which was the sidewalks as well as the shared bike path along Lincoln and Catawba Street. And the applicant, I believe, is present and they can present their case if there's no questions from staff.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions from Planning Commission for staff? If the applicant's available, I'm sure Planning Commission would love to hear a brief presentation on the plan.
Yes, thank you. This is Adam Beck, the interesting companies. We're the applicant for the proposed development. And Jonathan, appreciate the overview and again, appreciate the commissioner's time this evening. Jonathan hit, again, all the high points here, but we're very excited about this project. We've been under contract for several months and been working with the 3 landowners for the proposed 279 unit, 5-story multifamily development with 554 total parking spaces. It'll be, a good mix of 1s, 2s, and 3-bedroom units that we think will cater to a broad demographic within the city of Columbia. It'll be, I think, a good connection between the university's kind of Greek village there and also the innovation district. And also the surrounding neighborhoods in the Middle District Alliance. We went to the BOZA for a special exception and variance back on September 3rd, which was approved by Moses. We've had 2 meetings with the Mill District Alliance to discuss our project and kind of garner their support for the project as well. I'm happy to answer any questions, but yeah, we have sidewalk improvements, offsite improvements along both Catawba and Lincoln Street, and then kind of everything will be contained within one project. All the residential amenities within the 2 courtyards shown above. But happy to answer any questions the commissioners may have.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions from Planning Commission members? Hearing none, we'll move over to public comment. For public comment, we encourage those who would like to comment via email or the web to begin sending in letters and emails. Emails shall be sent to cocboardmeeting@columbiasc.gov or via the web at publicinput.com/cocpc-December. For those wanting to leave a voicemail or speak live, call 855-925-2801. When prompted, please enter the meeting code 7637, then press *2 to leave a voicemail or press *3 to speak live. Again, please be sure computer audio is off to avoid any feedback. We will pause briefly to allow for any emails and phone calls to come in.
Mr. Chair, I did receive a letter today that I'd like to read into the public record. This is from Derek Gruner, the university architect at the University of South Carolina. It says, "Dear Ms. Statler and members of the Planning Commission, the University of South Carolina is writing this letter with regard to the Planning Commission December 7th, 2020, Agenda Item 8, which is a site plan review of a proposed 675-bed multifamily residential development proposed to be located at 919 Catawba, the northeast quadrant of the Catawba and Lincoln Street intersection. Prior to this matter coming to the Planning Commission, the university provided the attached letter dated September 3rd, 2020 in connection with a request by this same developer to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special exception and a variance as it related to this project. We would like to restate to the Planning Commission our concerns as outlined in our previous letter as follows. Quote, 675 residents create a large population at this site. We are confident that these residents will be predominantly students who will access the university campus as pedestrians and bikers along 2 corridors, both of which have nearby railroad crossings. The first crossing is on Lincoln Street entering the Greek Village, and the second crossing is on Catawba Street near Assembly Street in the College of Engineering District. Our concern regarding this project is focused on the safety of our students, and we ask that the developer be required to upgrade the safety aspects of these 2 railroad crossings with quad gates, signage, fencing, and other appropriate safety features, such as enhanced illumination of the crossings and providing ADA compliant sidewalks separated from the 2-lane roadway traffic, as can be devised. This will be consistent with what USC has planned and will fund at the Whaley Street Railroad crossing near our Campus Village project, where we are similarly motivated by safety and the welfare of our students. This project is virtually identical to the 2017 multifamily project proposed but unrealized across Lincoln Street at 875 Catawba, the northwest quadrant of Catawba and Lincoln Streets. The difference being the magnitude of the current 675-bed development is a 346% increase when compared to the 195-bed development proposed in 2017. The Planning Commission, at its January 9th, 2017 meeting, approved that developer site plan subject to the developer complying with all city recommendations, which importantly included the following. Quote, staff has noted that in the traffic study that no additional modifications to the railroad crossing are necessary. However, the report focuses on vehicles and not pedestrians and bikes. Given the proximity to USC and venues to the north, with the Greek Village with 157 units, 195 beds, there would be a significant increase in bike and pedestrian crossings. Staff recommends that the traffic study include analysis of traffic volumes of pedestrians and bikes and determine what improvements should occur over the railroad crossing. We believe the future of the 2020 traffic impact study to acknowledge and evaluate bicycle and pedestrian traffic, we believe the failure of the 2020 traffic impact study to acknowledge and evaluate bicycle and pedestrian traffic and recommend appropriate safety measures at the railroad crossings is a significant omission. There is a pair of railroad tracks crossing Lincoln Street, which exacerbates the danger for pedestrians and bicyclists. There are thousands of Greek Life students who do not reside in the Greek Village, and we believe this project will be an attractive site for them to live, since they will be able to walk to the village to receive meals at their chapter homes. There is also a USC shuttle stop just north of the Lincoln Street Railroad tracks, which will attract pedestrians from the Olympia Mill housing buildings and the 675 residents from this proposed project. Based on the above, the university respectfully requests the following consideration from the Planning Commission. 1, to defer any action on this pending request or grant approval with strongly conditional language. The traffic study shall be updated, acceptable to city staff to determine what improvements should occur over the Lincoln Street Railroad crossing and the Catawba Street Railroad crossing in coordination with Norfolk Southern Railroad standards and approvals. 2, to defer any action on this pending request or grant approval with strongly conditional language that the developer present a plan acceptable to city staff which would fund safety upgrades to the 2 AFER referenced railroad crossings as set out in the university's September 3rd, 2020 letter to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and ultimately receive approval by the Norfolk Southern Railroad of such safety improvements within its right-of-way and which meet all National Transportation Safety Board standards. Additional factors which the traffic study failed to contemplate include the following. 1, with the February 2022 completion of the Richland County Green Street Corridor project, the railroad crossing at Gadsden Street entering the Greek Village will be closed, thereby directing more vehicular, bike, and pedestrian traffic to the Lincoln Street crossing. And 2, the ongoing SCDOT Assembly Street Railroad separation project. Public comments have been received. SCDOT evaluation is near completion, and a preferred route alignment alternative selection is forthcoming. Admittingly, a scheme has not been chosen, making it impossible to accurately assess the mutual impact of the projects on one another. However, all separation alternatives are located within the traffic impact study area or on the site proposed for this project and will dramatically affect all aspects of safety, mobility, and urban development throughout the study area network. In conclusion, the university respectfully requests our 2 conditions be a requirement to approve this request for site plan approval. We remain available and look forward to working with city staff and the development team to address a concern which we all share, safety of students and residents. With kind regards, Derek Bruner.
Thank you, Lucinda. Are there any other, have we received any other emails or letters?
Okay, actually, I do have another email. This is an email from Derek Bruner. Lucinda, please reiterate the University of South Carolina is not taking a position of opposition or support for the project. Our only concern is for the safety of student residents as they walk and bike across the nearby railroad crossings on their way to campus and the Greek Village. The traffic impact study does acknowledge the railroad crossings, but we disagree with the statement on page 25, which states, quote, based on the development impacts, there are no improvements recommended to the current active traffic control signals at these crossings, unquote. The university understands that the intersections are being considered for quiet zone treatments that would necessarily require safety upgrades, but we are not aware of a guarantee of the timing or even if the improvements would occur unless the residential project takes responsibility to ensure the upgrades occur. That's the only letter I've received in the email.
Thank you. Andrew, do we have any voicemails or any callers on the line?
No, sir, we do not have, we do not have any voicemails, comments, nor do we have any callers. that have indicated they want to speak.
Okay, thank you. So hearing all of that, do we have any other comments or questions for staff or the applicant regarding this case from the planning?
Yes, sorry. There are a good many staff comments and there are a good many concerns that the university has raised. What is the status of the applicant's willingness to address staff concerns? And also, I would imagine that the university's concerns are not a surprise. So what is the applicant's response to that?
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is Adam Beck, the applicant. So I guess kind of two things. Which specific, I guess, comments are you referring to within our submittal? Because I think we've seen a couple conditions which we have no issues with and will address as we go forward with our site plan. Is there one specifically you want to discuss?
I'm looking at them now. Sorry, I'm going between the two screens.
No problem.
I'm assuming that you have seen the Planning Commission's site plan review case summary. So it's comments such as Lucinda Statler saying that the applicant must continue to work with staff regarding the proposed ROW improvements. Rachel Bailey must comply with the conditions of the Board of Zoning Appeals special exception. Jonathan Chambers, city and state encroachment permits. I mean, there's a good many comments here. And I'm just wanting to make sure that one, you have seen them, and two, that you are prepared to, be compliant with them. And also if you have any response to the university's concerns. So those are two things.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense. So in response to the city's comments, yes, we reviewed the comments and don't have any issues with continuing to work with city and city staff on meeting these requirements and conditions of approval. So again, unless the city staff wants to, opine or jump in, we have no issues from our standpoint complying with these conditions. And in response to the university's comment, it was a similar letter that we received during our Bose application. We'd actually spoken with Bill Kirkland and Ed Walton, at USC, who again kind of gave a similar opinion that the university doesn't have a specific opinion on our project. They did not bring up any specifics regarding the access across Lincoln between our proposed site and the University Village. I understand, I think, the concerns, but based on our conversations with city staff and I think other members of the community, there is no real definitive plan for, I guess, the crossing on Lincoln Street. And I believe there's already, kind of existing access and improvements there. So we understand that, again, we'll be leasing to, anybody and not specifically students within the community, and understand the concerns of the university. But believe there's also, I think, maybe plans for other things for that railroad that, again, kind of are outside of our control. So.
Ms. Statler?
Yes.
Do you have any response in terms of the university's concerns and what the future holds?
I mean, one thing that we have, I guess Jonathan had a conversation with the city's traffic engineer about, because I guess we're limited in what we can require as the city staff or the planning commission in terms of actual improvements to the railroad track crossing. But there could be some things that the city, like when we say we're going to work with the applicant on the right-of-way improvements, that could potentially include some additional signage, some warnings about the crossing that is forthcoming. So things like that could certainly be included into the right-of-way improvements that they're gonna have to go through the encroachment process, which will of course involve, all the same staff members that weigh in on the site plan. So we could certainly address some additional details and things like that.
So you believe that some of the issues that the university is concerned about will be addressed through future sort of planning and development of this project? Is that what you're saying?
Sure, certainly. I mean, I think that part of this project development includes the right-of-way improvements, which is, the encroachment process. So, there weren't any real specific recommendations from the traffic impact study about things that needed to be done to the railroad crossing itself, or, it was, so I guess we're just sort of offering that the city could certainly look at, as part of the encroachment process, things that could be done in the right-of-way to, put additional caution for the folks that would potentially be crossing that railroad track on Lincoln Street.
Does that need to be included in a motion potentially, or is that something that will just occur naturally as part of this process?
I think it could help, sure, if it's in the motion, certainly. But we will definitely have those discussions, but it would certainly help if it were articulated in a motion.
So just articulated that the developer will need to work with staff to ensure that safety concerns are addressed, something like that, or?
Sure.
Okay, I guess it's just my concern is, to hear the developer say that, they plan to rent to anyone. I think it's, I understand that, but I also think that, it's sort of, in some ways, doesn't make a lot of sense to think that there will be anybody other than students living here. I mean, that's just the most likely group, and that's who's going to be there. And the reason that they're going to want to be there is because they can walk and bike. I agree with the university's comments on that. So I think that those are really busy areas. And so to include some planning for additional safety outcomes that hopefully, won't be incredibly onerous on the developer, but also will acknowledge, what the reality is likely to be, I think would be helpful. So just, okay.
Noted.
This is Jonathan. Dr. Mandel, if that were the case, to add that to a motion, you may just want to state that it would be you would amend, ask that the encroachment portion of staff comments be amended to include improvements to the city's right of way to assist with pedestrians and bicycles crossing the railroad tracks on Lincoln Street.
And this is Adam Beck, the applicant. Just more of a general question. As part of, I think it's over a 7-phase, plan, review or change of kind of the railroad line. I mean, isn't this phase or part of the proposal for this phase, state funded, and the state funds would go to redesign and change and make any recommendations kind of that the USC is looking for? I mean, that's kind of been the feedback and assumption we've heard.
You're talking about the railroad separation project?
No, I mean, just with the Lincoln Street crossing, any proposed improvements or the quiet zone.
Oh, the quiet zone.
Right, with quiet zone, any additional improvements will be funded out of state funds. So that's where kind of where our assumption, I think, were if there were any concerns by USC, that would be kind of addressed as the overall redesign.
Was that a question from the applicant to city staff to address?
I'm not sure if anybody has any information about the quiet zone process.
Right.
Where that is in the process.
Is both Lincoln Street and Catawba Street, are they both city owned or part of that DOT?
Catawba,
I think Lincoln is city, I'm pretty sure.
Lincoln is city, and Catawba is yeah, both are city streets in this block.
And at this stage, the applicant has not submitted any encroachment permit to the city for review at this point.
They have not. They they would need to get site plan approval first, and then they would start the encroachment process, kind of once they start the permitting process.
Right, okay.
I guess I'm confused because it sounds like Mr. Beck is suggesting that he believed that any substantive changes that were made in terms of safety for the area would be included in federal funding for some other project unrelated to this. Is that what you were suggesting, Mr. Beck?
Yeah, yes. I mean, that was, again, what we've kind of heard has been a kind of a mixed bag of things. So I was kind of more looking to, and if anybody on city staff had some more up-to-date information than what I had. But yes, that was kind of what we'd heard. But I mean, also we're willing to, work with the university here and obviously address some of their concerns, as part of this process, as part of our project. We don't, that's not an issue we hear loud and clear.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's my main issue. And as Mr. Chambers noted, just that potentially the motion would be amended to just state that, the encroachment portion of the city's recommendation would just include additional planning for pedestrian and bicycle safety, basically. So it sounds like you're supportive of that, which is great.
Yeah, I think what we'd like to probably know, as part of that kind of whatever the conditions are is what the kind of financial responsibility would be. Because again, if it's what the requirements are looking for and what more detail kind of would be, just a blanket condition, I think would be a concern from us. But again, we do understand where the university's position.
And from a staff perspective, we're thinking more along, as Lucinda indicated, Lincoln Street is a city right of way. So working with the traffic engineer and city staff, we're thinking more along the lines of signage, striping, and those kinds of things, not total improvements to the crossing itself, because again, that's going to be regulated by the railroad.
Right. Yeah, John, and if we're okay, if the staff's okay with us handling that through the right-of-way encroachment process, we had no issue with that.
Great.
Great.
Any other questions from Planning Commission? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the site plan for the construction of a 279-unit multifamily residential development at the Lofts at Lincoln, located at 919 Catawba Street, 312 Lincoln Street, and 326 Lincoln Street, subject to all staff conditions contained in the case summaries.
Got a motion, can I get a second?
Is there some way to include the piece about the additional encroachment aspect, or is there some way to have that? I don't know how to make that part of the process, but I just am concerned that we just talked about it and they agreed to it.
The right of way, information is in there from the staff comments. So, addressing the right of way concerns, I think pretty much covers that they're going to have to meet that.
Mr. James, this is Mr. Chambers. If you wanted to be more specific,
okay,
and state that you would like for that those encroachment comments listed by Lucinda Statler would include improvements to improve pedestrian safety for the railroad crossing, to include signage and striping and other methods, that would probably suffice.
Okay, so say that again, or do you want me to rescind the motion and then Doctor, you could make it. Dr. Mandel, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. I mean, I'll make a stab at it. So do you need to rescind yours first officially?
Yes.
Mr. Frost?
If you would rescind your motion, then we can
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to rescind my last motion.
Okay. Ms. Mandel,
All right, I would make a motion that we approve the site plan for the lofts on Lincoln, 919 Catawba Street, 312 Lincoln Street, and 320 through 326 Lincoln Street, subject to all staff recommendations with the amendment that anything regarding the encroachment portion of the city recommendations include additional planning for pedestrian and bike safety, such as signage and additional striping to improve safety.
Second.
got a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is approved.
I guess the only other thing we've got is just the calendar. I mean, we don't have to do anything with it really, but just wanted to make y'all aware that the calendar for next year is out. So put that on your personal calendars. And also next month, we'll be doing the voting for chair and vice chair. So between now and then, we'll send out, there's like an election app or whatever that we'll utilize, but just be thinking about that. And that's all I have. If anybody else has anything on other business.
Any other business from Planning Commission?
No, just welcome to our new member and look forward to working with everyone in the new year.
Absolutely. Welcome, Anna. Glad to have you on board.
Thank you. I enjoy being here.
All right. Any other business? If not, I'll accept the motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion's approved. The meeting is adjourned.
Have a
Have a
good
Merry
one.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Same deal.
Bye.